Hello everybody, this is Sportman16, and for this video I want to give y'all guys an update of what's been going on with me, and also I want to have a bit more of a serious talk about what's pretty much been going on with me throughout the months, or pretty much throughout last year, up to this point this year. And this is also going to be going out to my people on Facebook because, I'll be mentioning that later as to why I'm doing this for my friends on Facebook as well. So, pretty much what's been going on with me throughout 2020 was, not exactly good. What pretty much has been going on throughout 2020 is, things in my life have been affected by the pandemic, and it hasn't exactly really been getting any better. But one of the main things that happened to me throughout 2020, I'll talk about that in a minute, because pretty much with the pandemic that is still currently going on at the time of this recording, I was unfortunately able to miss out on Anime St. Louis 2020 because of the pandemic, or really everybody did who was wanting to attend. But thankfully, they are having their plans for their 2021 event. But with all the safety precautions and protocols being set into place, I'm possibly thinking about not going this year, but I'm not sure, because things with the pandemic could change within a matter of months, weeks, or even days. It's really hard to say. So as of for me for Anime St. Louis of 2021, it's pretty much a toss-up whether I'm going to be going or not, and that's pretty much difficult for me right there. But also, the other thing as to why 2020 was just absolutely emotionally stressful for me is, this is the more seriousness coming into play. And also, before I continue on with this, I just want to say that hopefully you all are quite comfortable right now, or best to get comfortable, because quite a long video is ahead, because I really don't know how long this is going to take. So, the big serious thing that happened to me in 2020, it was really revolving around family. It pretty much took place throughout all of the summer last year, and it was that of, the one thing was that late May, late last May, my sister, my sister Jenny, or who she likes to be called Jen, was finally able to, pack her stuff up, and move out. Yeah. So my sister is no longer in this household anymore, as she is now currently living with a friend of hers in Memphis, Tennessee. So that's what she's doing. And also, just for the fact that my sister is keeping quite the low profile, and pretty much she's not bothering to talk to me or my dad, and barely even talking to my mom anymore, because, my sister never really got along with the likes of my dad, and me and my sister, when I looked at videos of me and her in the past, it may look like that we were good siblings, but that's not entirely the case all the time. Because the whole thing is with my sister is that's a complete story all on its own, and I just do not wish to discuss about that, because I want to discuss more of the bigger thing that happened literally 2 days after my sister moved out. And it's pretty much this. just on that day, the 2 days after my sister moved out, my mom comes knocking on the door saying that she had to go help out a friend, like move some dirt around. So I just felt like that today was just going to be a normal day. So time went on. Then I don't remember exactly when this happened, but I think it was like somewhere. I think it was like somewhere early to mid afternoon. I'm thinking, if I remember correctly. Um, I get a knock on my door, and it's my dad. And my dad was telling me in a serious tone that he needs to tell me something. And I knew right then and there that it was not going to be good. So we were just standing there in the living room, and what he told me completely and utterly shocked me, as it completely and utterly shocked him as well. My mom told my dad over a text message that she had an affair 20 plus years ago. And when I heard that news, my eyes widened up and my jaw just dropped to the floor. Like, it just felt like it just dishinged from my mouth and just fell to the floor. I was in a complete state of denial. To think that my mom would actually do this, or that she did that. Because if you were to get to know my mom, she would be one of the nicest women you would ever meet once you get to know her. So, after pretty much that, I wanted to see if I could get in contact with my mom herself or myself. And I tried and tried, and I just could not get a hold of her. And then she pretty much did get a hold of me and tell me that she just loved me and all that, and that's all that was pretty much said. So time goes on, and in the very back of my mind, I was seriously thinking that is my mom really actually going to just never come back? And just fearing of what could happen with me and my dad if my mom just never came back. And the fact that I have developed a case of pessimistic thoughts, I was immediately jumping to worst case scenarios that my mom never comes back and she would file a divorce against my dad. That was the one thing that was going through my mind throughout the whole time. But then came one day that my mom did come back, but it was only to visit, because it was pretty clear at that time that she wanted to see us but didn't want to fully come back home. So she came to visit. She was telling us what was going on. The fact that where she was staying first was in this very small county that I never even knew of in my state, which is known as Foley, Missouri. And I looked that up on Google Maps, and that county was very tiny. Like, it was barely even a county due to its size. And from what it was sounding like, from what she was saying, that she wasn't exactly having the greatest time there. And that was when my dad was basically starting to do his talkative ways to get my mom to come back home. Because if she was having a bad time at Foley, Missouri, the way to end that sort of that sort of bad time is to just simply pack up your stuff and come back home. But she wasn't able to because I'm just assuming that she didn't have the courage to come back home yet. So more time went on, and she did visit a few more times, and thankfully she was able to be at the household when my birthday came around. And after my birthday came around, I wanted to see if I could get in touch with my sister to tell her what I did for my birthday. And the only way I was able to do so was via Discord. So I just wanted to see what was going on with her, and she was just giving me the whole low profile thing for what she was doing. And then after I pretty much told her what I did for my birthday, she pretty much said in a way like, oh, that's nice. And that's when I kind of figured out right then and there that she didn't really care what I did for my birthday. And it just hurt me there. And then everything just kind of escalated between me and her in that conversation where when I was simply asking her if she was ever considering remotely talking to Dad at all, and she pretty much said no. She just doesn't want to talk to my dad ever again because, again, they don't have a good relationship between each other. And being the good family member that I want to be, I tried to defend my dad, saying that even though that he is, that my dad may not be the sharpest knife in the drawer, but at least he's a father that cares. And pretty much after I said that, the whole thing just escalated into a big heated argument, and it was at that point right there my sister just stopped talking to me and just blocked me in every way that she could. Like pretty much blocking me on Discord, removing me from her Facebook friends list, and blocking me on Twitter. So that's when I knew right then and there that she just stopped caring. But getting back to where I was with my mom, one of the things that was going to happen was when my parents decided to go off to Starbucks and talk to each other. My dad was telling me later on that my mom wanted to kind of give me a little surprise by saying that she is coming back and coming back for good. But unfortunately, that didn't happen. And thus, on one of her last visits, she decided to book a bus ride over to southern Iowa to another friend of hers. And as more time went on, I think it was possibly a few days to a week. When it was supposed to come to the day that she was supposed to come back, I was simply asking her are you coming back? And she was saying that she wasn't able to because she was saying the bus's air conditioning was on the fritz or something, and she didn't want to be being a scorching hot bus. But then later I realized that was nothing more than a lie, possibly. And she pretty much came out clean and telling why she isn't able to come back, and it was because of the fact she ended up in a women's shelter somewhere in Illinois. And my first thought was what? Why is she all the way out there in Illinois in a women's shelter? So she was basically pretty much saying to me that she wanted to work things out. And then pretty much realizing that the whole working things out was in reality was pretty much her wanting to actually get out of the women's shelter. Because the people there were trying to convince my mom to leave my dad for good because he was being so quote unquote controlling. When in fact, she was saying that it was more of the people in the women's shelter that was more controlling of her. So, I really, me and my dad were wanting to try any way that we could to keep in contact with my mom, and we did. And during one night, my mom and dad were having their conversation over like Facebook Messenger, and my mom was pretty much saying to my dad that everything that she did from leaving and ending up in the women's shelter to that point was nothing more than a massive mistake, and she really wanted to come home. So that's when I started to feel a sigh of relief, knowing that what she did of leaving was a mistake. And I even and my dad actually allowed me to see that conversation, so I knew 100% for sure that this was the truth, and it was. And I read the whole thing. And in part of that conversation, she was saying that she felt really bad for putting me through the fact of that she wanted to come home sooner as a little surprise, but then crushed it. And trust me, the day when he told that to me, I was just sitting out in the chair in the front yard or in the front of the house, like the porch, and I cried. Just crying to myself and saying that why did my mom do this to me? Because it was pretty much that my mom, excuse me, was putting me and my dad in a very stressful moment. And the fact of what my dad was saying, that if she's finding the means to, if she was trying to get out of the women's shelter, but then saying that she wasn't going to come back again, he was going to divorce her. Or, oh no, wait. No, it was because of the fact of my mom wanting money from my dad to get a bus ride back home, and he was pretty much saying that if my mom did anything else with that money besides getting a bus back home, he was going to divorce her. Because he just didn't want to go through this sort of emotional hell anymore, and, well, neither did I. And I was pretty much saying to myself that if my mom did use that money for something else besides a bus and not bother coming back home, I basically wanted nothing to do with her. I was going to shun my mom away from my life. And that would just be the biggest punch in the gut to me. Knowing that my mom would just be selfish, and I would just have to shun her away for it. But the day came around. My dad was able to give my mom the money needed to get a bus, and my mom did what she said she was going to do. Basically booked a bus trip to come back home. But then there was another snag, or another bump in the road, and it was that of the, I guess, say, her Uber driver that was supposed to take her to the bus station, I probably say more than likely never showed up. And then pretty much my mom called my dad, as she was saying in a sort of crying, panicky tone, that she wasn't able to get to the bus station. So my dad decided that he was going to take matters into his own hands at this point. So what he did is that he went to my older sister, Mindy, to let him borrow her truck. Because at the time, the truck that he had was rather out of shape. And the reason why was because of the truck's timing chain was going bad. And the truck would be able to do, like just drives around the town, but not like a multi-hour drive to where mom was at and back. He just did not trust the truck at all, because it was pretty much set for what my dad said, that if that timing chain like if the timing chain broke, then it would just basically destroy the entire engine. So that's why he and Mindy came to an agreement to just simply swap trucks, because her truck was more reliable. So that's pretty much what he did. And then for pretty much the rest of the day, he spent many hours driving to my mom to get her from the women's shelter, and pretty much getting there, hugging her and being all emotional with all the crying, and then bringing her back. So when my dad sent me the text message of he's now on his way home with mom, I was just feeling the biggest sigh of relief, and pretty much saying that my mom is finally coming home after pretty much being gone all summer long. And I honestly thought that when they came home at around I think it was 6:37 in the evening, that I was going to be crying, but I wasn't. But I was hella happy that she came back. And as our little way of celebrating, we decided to get some pizza at Little Caesars, because that's one of the pizza joints pretty much nearby our place. I mean, there's also I think it's Domino's, but we decided to settle on Little Caesars. So there's pretty much that story right there. And then, well, pretty much as the pandemic is still going on, the thing about it is, of course, with the pandemic ruining Anime St. Louis for me, and the fact of, as of this point right now, being January 26th of 2021, for me is pretty much the pandemic going on, and the fact that it's freezing cold outside. And the thing about it is, with me, when it comes to the cold times around here, it's pretty much, it's this point of the year where I actually feel less happy than I would be, say, any other point of the year. Because when it gets cold, I am pretty much stuck inside because my body just does not like the cold. So I can pretty much say that the pandemic plus the cold temperatures preventing me from ever leaving the house for the time being has really been taking its toll on me. Because pretty much ever since the pandemic ever started, I was, or pretty much am, stressed out, really anxious, still having those pessimistic thoughts, but the fact that with, I don't want to try and get too political here, the fact that Donald Trump is no longer president and Joe Biden is, I'm pretty happy. Because it pretty much goes without saying that, yeah, I'm just going to say right here that Donald Trump was, without a doubt, the worst president that I've ever seen. And the fact that we had Trump after Barack Obama, who was the best president I've ever seen, but the only thing I just want to say is that the reason why I'm mad about this pandemic is not because of the fact that there are people out there who are just simply not taking the virus seriously. It's also because of the fact of Trump not taking the virus seriously and just letting the virus just run rampant. But at least now with Joe Biden as president, he can actually be a president who will take the virus seriously, and he pretty much has in only just like, I think it's probably almost his first week as president, and he's already been taking a lot of things seriously. Because the fact that, along with taking the virus seriously, he's now taking climate change seriously. And the first serious note was him putting the United States back into the Paris Climate Agreement, which was good. And I know there's probably like a whole bunch of other stuff that Biden has done already, but I just don't want to name all those. But to pretty much get myself away from politics, because, well, pretty much just simply put it, politics bore me, so that's why I try to stay away from it as much as I can. The fact of the pandemic and the cold has really got me into a position that I never thought I was ever going to be in. And that is the fact that I've gotten a lot more sad, a lot more depressed, more lonely, and the worst part, more angry, and negative than I have ever had been in my life. And I know I'm going to feel really down for saying this, but there have been multiple times throughout 2020 where I've actually had the thoughts of committing suicide. But, well, as you can clearly tell, I'm still here, so that could pretty much be a relief knowing that I have not done that. Because there has been one thing that I've been saying to myself every time that I've been having those suicidal thoughts. And that is that unless I'm having some sort of major illness that is making me suffer and everyone around me suffer, then I will pretty much say this when it comes to anyone wanting to commit suicide for reasons that are not really that. And it's that suicide is a permanent solution to a temporary problem. That's the thing that I've been saying to myself every time that I've ever had thoughts of suicide. And I'm pretty proud of myself that I've been able to stay this strong. And not only that, the other thing that has made me more angry was, well, it's just one of my biggest flaws that I really wish I didn't have, is that of competitive gaming rage or competitive gaming anger, where when it comes to any video game that is competitive, like pretty much fighting games, and prime example being that of Super Smash Bros. If even the littlest bit of things don't go my way, I get mad. Especially if that thing that doesn't go my way costs me a win. And it has gotten more worse when it comes to, excuse me again, this game, or the game known as Rocket League. But the main reason why I got more angry when it came to Rocket League was not because of me. It was because of the teammates that I get. And pretty much the teammates that I get are either just people who are just starting to play the game, or either they just don't know how to play the game, or they're pretty much half-ass at it. And especially when they do what's known as own goaling, where they pretty much score a goal, but in our own net. And trust me, when it comes to Rocket League, or pretty much just games in general, it just really feels like that every well-known game does have its level of toxicity. And it really honestly feels like it's not going to stop or even slow down anytime soon. And trust me, negativity and toxicity are very powerful things. And negativity and toxicity really boil down to games, movies, TV shows, you name it. If people can express their opinions about it, there's bound to be some level of toxicity or negativity somewhere. And that's one of the other things that has been driving me mad is people being so negative and toxic even over the littlest of things in a certain movie, TV show, or game. And it's ridiculous. I mean, I'm not like that because I always want to be optimistic about certain games that usually don't get high levels of praise. Because with something like Rocket League, like, yeah, it's a fun game. The customization is huge. Like, so much you can customize. But it's just that when you go onto that field with other people online, especially with the fact of cross-platform play, meaning that I could be playing Rocket League on the Switch against someone who's like playing it on the PC. There's going to be some toxicity somewhere. And their biggest form of toxicity is when they say what a save multiple times. And that's just one of the things that really annoys Rocket League players. And the fact of it is that the people in Rocket League, whether they are just half-ass or just not even bothering to play the game, like those are like the worst kinds of people that I've encountered in Rocket League is when they're still in the game but doing absolutely nothing, or just wanting to play goalie, leaving me to fend off two players at the same time to try and score. And it only happened like one time that I actually scored in a 2v1 situation. And when it comes to the fact of my teammate making a dumb mistake that cost us a win is where it really gets me mad. To the point where Rocket League has made me go chuck more things at the wall than any other game. And I felt really, really bad after doing that. Even to the point where I had to go into a room downstairs and literally scream at the top of my lungs. And that's why I think it would pretty much be a good time for me to just, to just stop playing Rocket League for a little while and then come back when I know I'm ready to deal with it. Though I might just, maybe just do like my little fooling around and just playing around with the customization, all that. But that's pretty much the only thing I could be able to do in Rocket League when it ever comes to the time when I'm just gonna stop playing online. And that's pretty much the kind of thing that I've been doing ever since the cold ever started coming around on top of this pandemic. That my Nintendo Switch Lite is the only thing that's keeping me entertained, along with YouTube and just figuring out what kind of art I can make on DeviantArt via XPS, which is XNA Lara Posing Studio. And really, I can honestly say that DeviantArt has been one of the things that's really been keeping my sanity in check, because knowing that on there that I have quite a large following of around 1,500 plus people, and knowing that those people just like my art no matter what I post, it's just one of the only things that really keep me going. So I guess this video kind of goes out to my DeviantArt people too. So, yeah. So to my DeviantArt watchers, I would just like to say thank you for, sticking around with me, even though that I haven't really been uploading too terribly much over the course of the past couple months. Because, well, if you guys were just sticking around to listening to what all I had to say earlier, that's great. So, I just pretty much want to say that if you guys have been enduring me talking for from what it looks like right now, it's been about 35 minutes, then I really appreciate you guys actually, watching this video and listening to what I have to say. So I really thank you a whole lot, and I feel really appreciated that you all are just taking the time out of your day to listen to me. And if not, then it's really just, oh well, I really can't do nothing much about that. uh, but but in terms of the stuff that's been going on for me on YouTube, well, let's just say I kind of more or less gave up on my channel. And that's pretty much because when my sister did move out, well, she pretty much took all of her gaming stuff with her. Pretty much all her game systems being like PS2, PS3, Wii U, Nintendo 64, and all that. And all I was left with was nothing more than a Legend of Zelda themed 3DS, and any Pokemon games that I had left over. And well, that's also the other thing that has been keeping myself from, you know, hurting myself, was Pokemon. Like, Pokemon has truly been something that has been keeping me going next to DeviantArt and Rocket League. And well, I don't really think there's much else that I want to say in terms of any updates and serious talk. So I will say this one more time before this video ends, is that if you guys have endured me talking for like almost 40 minutes, I really do appreciate it, and I thank you a whole bunch for that. And to my fellow friends on Facebook, I just want to say that I'm really sorry that if I worried you a whole bunch, because honestly at this point in time right now, because of me being cooped up in this house practically 24/7 because of the cold, believe me, if you are worried about me, trust me, I'm worried about me, because I honestly just cannot wait for the temperatures to go back up to where I can actually get out more often to, like, go on walks and ride my bike to St. Ferdinand Park. Because yeah, that was pretty much the thing that I did to be able to get out of the house while the pandemic is going on. I just simply ride my bike up to St. Ferdinand Park, stay there for like an hour or so, and then just head on back. Just to get outside and enjoy the outdoors. Just get the time to say hi to the residents, because that is one other thing that does make me happy, even for just a little bit, is whether I go on a walk or a bike ride, and I just get highs from the residents within my county. So, like I said, if I have worried you for the things that I said on Facebook recently, I am really truly sorry that I worried you. And trust me, when temperatures go back up and this pandemic gets more under control, I'll be feeling much better. And one of the reasons why I do want this pandemic to be more under control is that I can finally start achieving the first step of what I really want to do, and that is to be more of a better photographer, and not just a regular photographer. I've had the thought of mind of wanting to be like, sort of like a either professional or semi-professional cosplay photographer. Because ever since going to Anime St. Louis, the first one that I did back in 2011, I think I probably had the notion of wanting to be a cosplay photographer since about ASTL 2016. That this is what I feel like I want to do. And I mean, I know I have to learn quite a few steps in order to get to that point, but that is pretty much what I want to do. Because when I feel like, because when I'm at Anime St. Louis, I really feel like I'm within my second home away from home, even if it is just for a weekend. And when I just take pictures of cosplayers, it just makes me feel happy. And I just never really care if the cosplay was pretty well made or made semi decently. I will take a picture of that cosplay and I will compliment the cosplayer for how good they look. Because I'm not those kind of people. So that's pretty much what I want to do, is take that first step into more professional photography once this pandemic is more under control to the point where I can actually start doing that. So pretty much saying that if I decide not to go to ASTL 2021, if the pandemic is much more under control by 2022, then I'll definitely go. And I do have some optimism in me that I really do feel like that 2022 can definitely be more of a in-person convention than what they have planned for 2021 or for this year. Well, I definitely do feel a bit better now knowing that I have all this stuff on my chest. And well, I guess that's pretty much all there is to be said. So one more time, thank you all for enduring me talking for like 40 plus minutes. And if you guys have anything to say, that'd be very much appreciative, but you don't have to say anything. Or you could just say at the very least that you listened to what I had to say, you listened to it for its entirety, and that'll just be the one thing that'll just make me feel better, knowing that there was people out there who actually listened to me. But I don't know how many to expect. I could just have one person who did listen, or I could just have a few 10 who listened to me. But I'll just feel appreciative knowing that there was at least somebody out there who listened to me, to what I had to say. So thank y'all for listening, and I'll be talking to you guys later whenever there is something to talk about. So I'll see you guys whenever.